the role of infrastructure, infrastructure is the basic physical and organizational structure and facilities needed to the operation of a society or enterprise. Infrastructure is quite important for industrialization and diversify the economy. Now, at this point in time, we have seen, as the previous speaker said, we spend a lot of money on infrastructure, but the issue of feasibility and other issues is questionable. And with the change in regime, the change in government, there is now some problem with continuation of some of the projects and maintaining the supply chain. Keeping that in mind, we should proceed further. On this backdrop, the objective of today's seminar includes proposing strategic interventions and policy recommendations that can be adopted by the interim government to ensure continuity in infrastructure development. Exploring mechanisms to sustain the construction supply chain during the transition period, including alternative models of financing. And developing 2009, energy issue was really burning. So country took a position like this: either you have energy with high price, or you do not have energy. You do not have energy. So probably we went through that, and we know the story behind this. But despite excess sources of primary energy did not get enough consideration. The project was implemented, but where the primary source of energy will come, I think due consideration was not paid. As a layman, I asked the questions of people, some of the experts, but they did not come up with satisfactory answers. So it means project implementation was more important than supplying electricity. Despite excess capacity, Bangladesh has to go for load shedding, particularly in the rural areas. In many of the plants, as many of the plants has to keep idle because of shortage of primary energy, the country has to rely on import for a large amount of supply of electricity to national grid. At the one hand, excess capacity; on the other hand, we have to rely on import. Electricity generation heavily relied on fossil fuel. Renewable energy still sources less than 1% of total power generation. However, to give a direction based on objectivity and long-term interest of the country, any delay in this regard may create lack of confidence among the local and foreign investors. Some of the reform areas may include, I'm just suggesting something, may not work. Number one, projects should be taken with due consideration of economic viability in terms of direct and indirect benefits of the project, implication of the project on foreign exchange reserve, implication of the project for increasing performance of the existing industries as well as of new industrialization and job creation, enhancing self-reliance both in terms of financing and its direct impact on external sector, ensuring environmental sustainability and preserving ecosystem. Specifically, feasibility study needs to be more effective. In Bangladesh, there is some tendency to inflate the benefit and underestimate the cost of the project so that IRR of the project looks attractive. But once the project is approved and starts its implementation, there is a tendency of enhancing cost. IRR of the project needs to be reassessed. If revised IRR is estimated, economic viability and sustainability of many of the projects become questionable. A system should be developed so that the feasibility study is duly conducted by the true professionals, and there should not be any upper hand interference to bias the study. Undefined cost. In the project analysis, undefined accounts as a proportion of total cost must be kept at a minimum level. Proposed expenses needs to explicit to bring transparency of the projects. If there is huge undisclosed amount, you don't know what is happening, transparency is going. Coordination. Instead of ad hoc basis, projects should be taken with a long-term vision and target. Integrated and coordinated approach should be taken in selection and implementation of projects within the ministry and across ministries. Land acquisition issue. Bangladesh is a land scarce country, and most of the infrastructure development projects require acquisition of land. Land acquisition sometimes invite protest, litigation, etc., which delays project implementation. Now, one of the solutions could be equity partnership, could be a model to reduce this problem. Equity partnership may be allowed even in the EPZ. That means those who are evicted from the project property, those whose land is, acquisition, give them part of the land so that they can start their business or do economic activities. They are taking the advantage of these infrastructures. Transparency, enhancing accountability and transparency in selection and implementation of project is of utmost importance. Demand for the projects needs to be duly assessed. Details of the projects may be revealed even to the affected people and the beneficiaries of the people. If people knows what is going on here, I'm suffer. I see what was the BRT project was. I didn't know. Nowadays, after waiting 10 days, I know what is happening there. So